The Republican presidential primary may be this summer's hottest new reality show. An estimated 24 million viewers tuned in Thursday night as the top 10 candidates for the Republican nomination for president finally took the stage together for the first of 11 planned debates. They gathered in Cleveland, a nexus of the Black Lives Matter movement. Cleveland, where 12-year-old Tamir Rice was shot and killed by a police officer last year. Cleveland, where the police department is under a federal consent decree after the DOJ found a pattern of officers using deadly force unnecessarily. Cleveland, where the Black Lives Matter National Conference was just held a few weeks ago. If the Republicans were hoping Black Lives Matter wouldn't come up, well, they came to the wrong place.
Many in the Black Lives Matter movement and beyond believe that overly aggressive police officers targeting young African Americans is the civil rights issue of our time. Do you agree?
It's about training. It's about making sure that law enforcement professionals, not only on the way in to their positions, but all the way through their time, have the proper training, particularly when it comes to use of force, and that we protect and stand up and support those men and women who are doing their jobs in law enforcement. And for the very few that don't, that there are consequences to show that we treat everyone the same here in America.
That's right. That was Megyn Kelly asking about Black Lives Matter, and it's a start, but I want to ask a slightly different question today. When it comes to Republican candidates and voters, what lives matter? Based on the responses of the candidates, it's clear that they believe potential lives certainly matter.
I believe that that is an unborn child that's in need of protection out there. And I've said many a time that that unborn child can be protected, and there are many other alternatives that will also protect the life of that mother. That's been consistently proven.
What I have advocated is that we pass a law in this country that says all human life at every stage of its development is worthy of protection. In fact, I think that law already exists. It's called the Constitution of the United States.
And this notion that we just continue to ignore the personhood of the individual is a violation of that unborn child's 5th and 14th Amendment rights for due process and equal protection under the law.
So potential lives definitely matter, but what about other lives? What about immigrants and women, transgender people who want to fight for their country? What about Black lives? How many of those other lives are going to matter for the votes for the GOP? What do you guys say for that?
Melissa, I have to say, as a Latina woman, as a Latina woman, the pro-life issue is about brown and black lives. When 78% of all abortions in New York City are performed on black and brown babies.
Not on them. It is. Not on them. I mean, well,
let's be clear.
You know, whoa. So I hear you, but I do, that proposition matters. Because I think there are times in this country, we know historically, when reproductive justice has in fact been performed, or reproductive injustice has been performed on the bodies of women of color, of Latinas, of black women, where people have taken away the right to choose, have involuntarily sterilized. That's not what happens when people are making a choice to terminate pregnancies.
But you talk about historically, Planned Parenthood is an organization that was founded by a racist woman who was for eugenics. And so
the United States of America was founded by racist people who owned slaves. But I love this country deeply and profoundly because it is bigger than the individuals who founded it.
Planned Parenthood targets minority communities. We know that. It's a fact.
But Republicans target minority communities because they force them to.
No,
but then take away.
Wait a minute. It's not. You can't.
And we are losing our political power when our babies are being killed.
Okay,
so let's be clear about that.
Okay, it's not a fact that Planned Parenthood targets communities of color. Planned Parenthood often is cited as on a site in low-income communities because they provide health care for women who cannot
afford. You call it health care, I don't. But let's talk about.
You do call pap smears and mammograms.
That is such a rude. That's what Obamacare was for. If they want to give money, for pap smears, if they want to give money for breast exams, there are plenty of organizations that we can give our federal dollars to. Most Americans, the vast majority, almost 80% of Americans want federal funding out of abortion and
federal
out of
funding is out of.
Well, listen, that money is fungible. I know, but we know that those funds are fungible.
Okay,
and we know
so I appreciate it, and I appreciate that.
I mean, I'm just telling you how I feel. And
I appreciate that this is a meaningful debate, right? I guess part of what it is a meaningful debate. But I guess part of what I'm asking then is, given the intensity of this debate, how we then didn't hear about, for example, 12-year-old Tamir Rice, or about these other aspects.
But let's be fair, because it's great that they got more than 20 million people watching the debate. But let's not forget who the audience of the debate is. Sure. And the debate was for Republican primary voters. And the Republican Party, the same as the Democratic Party, they're trying to appeal to a certain demographic. That's how politics is played. And in this case, there were other more important questions for those candidates to answer that those Republican primary voters want to hear the answers.
But there are definitely some Republicans who are thinking forward to the general election. I do want to play. I want to play Rand Paul talking about because he does kind of do an interesting Black Lives Matter moment. Let's take a listen to Mr. Paul.
But I've also gone to Chicago, I've gone to Detroit, I've been to Ferguson, I've been to Baltimore, because I want our party to be bigger, better, and bolder, and I'm the only one that leads Hillary Clinton in 5 states that were won by President Obama. I'm a different kind of Republican.
So, Peyton, that's an interesting moment to me, right? So, I get this point, right? The strategy is always you got to win the primary first. But you have Paul there also saying, hey, I also recognize the primary is going to be insufficient. Let me make a claim for being a different kind of Republican.
When you look down the road, Republicans are very successful. 68 bodies all over versus 98 Republicans control House and Senate. Over 32 some odd governors races. So we're doing well around the country as Republicans, but we realize that our chances of winning a national election have diminished. I mean, we should have beaten President Obama last time with the issues there. We didn't. So you can't, either base can't win. I mean, we understand that. Back to Juan's saying, this is a primary where certainly they're going to talk about pro-life. It's in every platform in every state party there is. You're going to talk about it, you're going to put your stake in the ground, then you're going to move on. So you have to widen the tent. That debate didn't do any widening for us. It was a debate that was pretty tough. Fox did a nice job.
And Fox won, as we were saying earlier. Fox won the debate.
And in our party, Trump might could come after Melissa Harris, Perry, and get away with it. Megyn Kelly's a little different with Fox in that fight. So at the end of the day, when you unpack all this, this is an election that just started. We are 6 months away from the first vote being counted. And I would contend to you that Trump's shelf life will diminish as we go further.
And more on this when we come back, because the Republican debates gave us lots of interesting moments, including this one.
The military is not a social experiment. The purpose of the military is kill people and break things. The purpose is to protect America. I'm not sure how paying for transgender surgery for soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines makes our country safer.